as we're recording this, President Zelensky is talking to him in DC. It feels very much to me like the president, knowing he's got troubles at home, the government's obviously shut down for, I think, what are we now, day 18, has turned his eye precisely where he said he wouldn't, to MAGA, which is abroad, which is what leaders always do. In Britain, whenever things were going wrong, they would always start fiddling around abroad, and it would ultimately be their downfall. And one can't help feeling there's some of that going on here. If you're Marjorie Taylor Greene, who turns out to be doing some protesting of the Republicans herself, how would you feel about the money that's now being tossed to Argentina and Trump casually saying 20 billion, 40 billion, we're not going to notice it?
Well, no. I mean, this is part of the split that is going on in MAGA. I mean, a split that I see increasing on an almost daily basis. But, the implicit promise to MAGA was America first, a profoundly isolationist policy. Mm-hmm. We do not want American troops anywhere. We don't want American money anywhere. We don't want it. And Trump was largely acceded to that position. And certainly during the first administration showed a real inclination to turn away from the world. And I think in this administration, the world has caught up with him. I mean, it is very difficult to turn away from, and also it turns out he loves it.
When you're talking to people around Donald Trump, how are they saying he reacts to this kind of a protest?
Well, they're not even saying. I literally think this is not on his radar, and certainly nobody is flagging this. Right now, everyone is saying he's just euphoric. This Middle East thing was something. I mean, for a guy who kept saying, I'm going to stop all wars, I can do this, I think he's completely surprised that this has turned out as well as it has, and he's riding it. And I think people around him are a little wary of the fact that he now thinks he can do anything, including sending Tomahawks.
Well, he's got the peace bug now, right?
Well, he's got the attention bug, which he certainly had. But he understands, oh my God, the attention is here, and the attention is lavish.
And it's exactly.
And
it's
as you say, leaders always realize it is easier to do things abroad. As you say, I mean, Tony Blair was hated in the UK, hated and loved abroad. People still think in the US, people still think Tony Blair is the
similarly with Margaret Thatcher. She was always off on the world stage.
The Falklands made her, really.
Right. In the end, it's always domestic politics that brings you down. And the interesting
Nixon went to China in the middle of Watergate.
Right. Another good parallel. And it's also that thing that with Trump, you saw a more generous kind of president when he was there lavishing praise on everybody else when he was in Egypt. This guy's great, they've all been working really hard. These are not comments he ever makes about his own cabinet. He's always got a kind of, twist in the tail when he's talking about his own cabinet, or he's simply putting them down. But actually on the world stage, you saw someone who was, I hesitate to say this now, I know you're immediately going to say no, but perhaps reaching for, if there is a better self, we caught a glimpse of it when he was acknowledging this was a joint effort. It wasn't just him.
I won't directly dispute that, but I will footnote that he's on the world stage knowing nothing about the world stage. So in other instances, Nixon went to China, had been studying the world stage for his entire career. Mm-hmm. These are, you might say, serious people on the world stage, whereas this is a profoundly unserious person.
Well, and I don't want to sound churlish in any way about creating any kind of moment of peace in the Middle East, but there was something very hastily put together in what appeared to be a hotel room, that kind of weird dais that they'd erected with Peace 2025.
We really don't know the details of this agreement or who has agreed to what. Now, which, and I will, on my side, be less than churlish about this and saying maybe that's his genius. We got everybody to agree to whatever they thought they were agreeing to.
Right, and the fact that it's a 20-point plan and we only know the first 5 points is neither here nor there.
I mean, maybe that is, again, Trump genius. I hesitate to say that. But the other thing is we don't know what's going to happen or what he's going to do. So Zelensky is in the White House today. We do not know if Trump is going to be on Zelensky's side or opposing Zelensky. And he is theoretically has had what was billed as a 2-hour conversation with Putin. I'm really at, okay, I know it. If that was a 2-hour conversation, that was 2 hours of Trump motor mouthing Putin and Putin just listening and just letting it go on.
Putin just giving his inscrutable smile.
But he may be, we don't know if he is Putin's friend or Putin's enemy, and he goes back and forth. Remember that I mean, not too long ago, this is just weeks ago, he went to Alaska for what?
Yeah, a peace summit, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't it a peace summit?
Yes, and for whatever he got there, that he got nothing there, and Putin got whatever there was to get.
Well, he got a ride in the Beast, which everybody assumes he immediately managed to bug. And Trump somehow thought he was leaving America because he kept saying, he was leaving America to go and do this. He seemed very confused. Whatever, they're back at it. If you're in Trump's head right now, what voices are you hearing? He
hears no voices other than his own. I mean, I want to be, that sounds hyperbolic. But it would be wrong to assume that there is any other voice here. And Trump himself, when asked on this question, which he has been asked many times, and he is remarkably consistent on the answer, who do you take advice from? He says, he looks incredulous and says, only myself. But I think now he has come off this high of what happened in the Middle East, and he wants more of it.
And Zelensky said, I will nominate you for the Nobel Peace Prize next year if you can bring an end to this terrible war.
Right. And so the question is how, and that has come down to the Tomahawks. This is the Tomahawk question.
Tomahawk missiles.
Yes. Does he give? I mean, he has certainly dangled that out there. We may have to give you the Tomahawks, and then he has gone on to describe the damage that Tomahawks would do. This would be damage that they would do to Russia, and one assumes that he is saying this because that will theoretically scare Vladimir Putin. But then he says, well, maybe I'm not going to give the Tomahawks, and we need the Tomahawks, so we're not going to give the Tomahawks. I mean, does he even know what a Tomahawk is? But what he does know is the name. It's great to say this.
I'm enjoying
saying Tomahawk.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a sort of the word that could be a chant, Tomahawks, Tomahawks. Yeah, like thank you, Trump, thank you, Trump. It's got the same rhythm as what we heard people chanting in Israel last weekend. So maybe this is every weekend he has to go and do a peace deal. We know that he's ended 7 wars, or is it 8 wars now?
But then let's go back to what this does on his base, in the MAGA base, which is at the very least churlish about this. They don't like it. They don't like any aspect of the fact that he might be sending Tomahawks, even the possibility of Tomahawks. I mean, they don't like the fact that that even if he has if he has established a ceasefire and the return of the hostages, he's done this at the cost of a really very, even more than usual embrace of Netanyahu, who the MAGA people detest. So I see this as this among the growing list of issues that MAGA has a problem with.
So where does this put, when you're talking to people, and this split in MAGA is extremely interesting, where does this put J.D. Vance?
Well, I think, J.D. Vance is and can only be in one place, which is joined at the hip to Donald Trump. So anything that and any perceived deviations from MAGA-dom by the MAGA people is going to infect J.D. Vance. We should also talk about this amount of money, $20 billion, $40 billion
to Argentina,
that may or may not go to Argentina. It's a fundamental Republican principle is against bailouts. Well, we are very clearly, I don't think there's any pretense otherwise, bailing out Argentina, and very specifically because the Argentina president is Trump's favorite president.
Right, because they have a lot in common.
Apparently.